Why, hello there, friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new around these parts, hello. Thank you so much for clicking. In today's video, I'm doing a plan with me for the week of July 14th, and I'm using this Mario kit from Scribble Prints Co. It's a fairly old kit. I feel like it's at least 2 to 3 years old, and I was hoarding it to use when I went to Epic Universe, and we went, and I didn't even end up using it for that week. But I used it for this week because this was the week that I first played Mario Party and became obsessed. Very, very obsessed with the game. Nowadays, I don't have as much time as I did when this week was happening, this week I'm planning. So I can't play it as much, but in the summer when I had more time, that's all I wanted to do. And I am not by any means a gamer girl. Really at all, but I was obsessed with this freaking game, so I thought it was perfect to use for this week. Also nice to break up some of the summer vibes that you usually see for July. So as far as foil, I used rainbow foil. There's a combo of just plain rainbow and like a sparkly rainbow. They're both from shops that I don't support. Planner Pixie Co. is where the underlays are from, and then the kind of washy bits and probably some of the full box overlays are from Alicia Craft, also a shop I don't support. I will say with Alicia Craft, there was lots of discussion around her in the planner community a few weeks ago because she ghosted her customers essentially. So at this point, I don't even think I need to address it. I think it's bullshit, and I don't support the shop. So I do want to say that in particular because I don't want folks who see what I'm using to go to that shop who maybe don't know what's been happening with Alicia Craft and then go through a similar issue. So please proceed with caution on that front. But all that to say, I do love how this spread turned out. I love the rainbow. I'm so glad I finally used this kit because it's been in my collection for a while, and it's always nice to kind of, use one of those that I feel like at this point is just collecting dust. I'm like, come on, girl. Like, it's time. It's time. We need to use this up. So I'm glad I was able to do that. And I mentioned previously, I think in another plan with me or in an Instagram story, not sure which one, that I've thought about doing a Mario set, which some of you liked. Like, I got a little bit of feedback that was positive, so I can't remember if I did a poll, so maybe I need to do another poll and see. But I know a couple people commented on the YouTube video where I mentioned it and said that they'd be interested. So I think, okay, it's coming back to me. I think I did do a poll, and I had an option of like, yes, I want it, and an I'm intrigued option, and there were a good amount of votes between those two. So I don't want to make too many promises as the planner community is so up and down these days, which we may chat about in today's video, but it's on my list. It's on my shorter list. I have a long list and I have a short list just to kind of be able to aim my focus, because if I look at the very long list, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. But anyways, in today's video, I'm going to answer some questions. So I put up a story on Instagram asking for questions like probably 3 weeks ago now, and I'm just now finally getting to them. So sorry if you've been waiting all this time, but your girl's been caught up with designing and then caught up with order processing, which by the time y'all see this, a good bulk of orders should be out. I know some folks have already received their orders, which is exciting. So a good bulk of orders will be dropped off tomorrow. I'm doing this voiceover on October 5th. Yes, October 5th. And I'm planning to drop off a good chunk of orders tomorrow. So really what I'll have left is a small amount of orders to get out, which I'll probably work on throughout the week and try to get out by the end of the week, if not very early next week. But I'm really going to try for the end of the week because this upcoming weekend is a long weekend and it's kind of a busy one for me. So I kind of don't want to have orders in the back of my head and try to relax and enjoy myself and take a break, because y'all, when it's order processing time, like, most of that, I mean, some of it happens during the week, but a lot of it happens on the weekend. So I'm just essentially working 7 days. So, this is why there's not super like back-to-back releases done, because I got to give myself some time to like rest breathe, and then kind of get back into it. So yeah, anyways, long spiel, but questions. So I only have 4 questions. I feel like they're pretty involved though, because most of them are questions about inclusive art, which we've had a very in-depth discussion about. I'm so sorry, y'all. I feel like when you see the camera move like this is because I'm getting a notice that my battery's low. And so I go in and remove the notice and keep filming. And sometimes in editing, I forget to edit that out. So I do apologize. I think that's the last time it happens though. So anyways, so all 4 of these questions came from Mel Planner Girl on Instagram. So shout out to her, who I've had some conversations with in my DMs as well about this. So I'm not surprised that she had these questions. But the first question is, how are you liking the new clip art kits art? Her Diwali? Is it Diwali? Her Diwali set is art of the year for me. I love it. I mean, this is what I did like to plan with me's on. I love that we're getting more inclusive art. I think it's amazing. I know that there was the Diwali set. There was the Dia de los Muertos art set that just came out. I know there was that like beautifully flawed and perfectly perfect. I'm not getting it right. I don't know if either one of those were the names, but it was kind of that like showgirl theme, celebrating different types of women, or different types of people, I guess I should say. I think it was mostly women, but different types of people, which I thought was amazing. So it's amazing. It's great to see. And funnily enough, not really funny at all. There's now discourse around why they don't sell, right? There's this like uproar of folks, calling for more diverse and inclusive sets, and then the art sets are created. There are some shops that buy them, and it doesn't sell well, right? So another conversation, a conversation I'm actually currently having with a lot of you to kind of gather some information. I have my own ideas as to why that is happening, but yeah, it's been great to see. It's been amazing. I'm so happy to see it. Like I said, I think on Instagram maybe, it just feels nice to be heard. I think when it feels like you're screaming or saying something repeatedly into a void, to have someone hear you in that way, I think is amazing. So, a work in progress. I think at the end of the day, I'll continue to control what I can control in my small bubble of the interwebs and of this community, and that's all I can do, right? I can't do much more than that. And we can get back to kind of some of the things I've taken out of that conversation once we get through some of these other questions, because I think they might be kind of intertwined. But anyways, how do you feel about Caress Press using, I think it's AI generated art? It says AU, but I'm pretty sure they meant AI. I hate it. I don't like AI anything for the most part, y'all. Like, the only time I use it is when it's forced on me. Like if I Google something and they give me an AI generated summary. I don't even like the Alexas of the world. I don't like any of that shit. I've never liked it, to be honest with you. I don't really use any of it, at least not on purpose. And so the idea specifically that creative endeavors can be replicated by a machine is absolutely absurd. Like, the thing that makes art is the human part of it, the emotion, the feeling of it. That human connection is what makes it so impactful. When you think about music, when you think about, visually drawings, paintings, when you think about films, when you think, it's a human connection. That's the piece. That's why we keep going back to it. And so the idea that they're trying to take out the very thing that keeps it alive is such bullshit and so absurd. I mean, I am seeing things about AI musicians, labels wanting to sign AI musicians, AI music artists. I'm sorry. Like, the music industry is already so predatory on music artists just as it is. It is incredibly predatory, and it's becoming more and more so. And they are adding fire or gas to the flames by saying that labels want to sign AI musicians. I hope it fucking tanks. I hope no one buys any of it. It's so frustrating. And AI actors, like, what even the fuck is an AI actor? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's get it together. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. I will say specifically, kind of getting back to the Planner World and Caress Press, I think that Caress Press has used it minimally at least, but there are shops who have made it their entire personality to shelve and sell AI products. And the wild part is people are buying that shit up. And I'm like, why? I'm just like, why? This is probably a good place to say that I do not have AI products in my shop. I keep meaning to put this on the website because I know there has been some calls for shops to be transparent about it. But those of you who have followed me for any length of time, either on Instagram, here, wherever, know that the products that I bring to my shop are collaborations with human artists, real artists who put their blood, sweat, and tears into the creations and into the kits that I sell. So I hate it. Long story short, I fucking hate it. Was there enough hate in that? I hope so, because I really hate it. And I still have bought things from Caress Press. Some of them have been the AI things, and from other shops that use AI as well. It's complicated and layered in that way, because it's just living in a capitalistic society makes it impossible to be 100% ethical in regards to how you consume things. And so, you know, we're spouting these things on YouTube and on smartphones who are all probably ethically problematic in one way or another. So nuanced and layered, but I hate it is the is the final line on that. Next question. How do you feel about shops prioritizing tailor art over the inclusive version? I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think she means specifically like the clip art kit set, which was like the showgirl theme Taylor Swift new album set, and then she did kind of another set that was more generic and more celebrating, you know, different body types and different people, and how many folks have kind of bought up that Taylor Swift version of the album and that particular set and have not bought. I'm assuming that's what she's referring to in this question. I mean, this is more of the same. This is not new. We've seen this before. You know, it sucks. I mean, I don't know how else to tell it. You know, it's funny, I'm having this discourse in the community. I think I mentioned it already, but I've done this voiceover kind of split in different ways many times. So I'm at the point where I don't remember what I said, but I'm currently having discourse around why more inclusive sets are not selling, whether the art isn't selling, you know, to more shop owners, and then for the shop owners who do purchase, the kit's not selling in their shop. And you know, there was talk about economy as well, which I can certainly understand, right? We're living in very tight financial times where everyone's trying to make ends meet as much as possible. And, you know, purchasing and engaging in this hobby is expensive and folks don't have the discretionary income to do so, which I understand. But when Taylor Swift shit still continues to sell off the shelves, well, is it an economy issue? Is it the economy? At the end of the day, I think that there's probably several layers to this. A lot of these conversations I've had with you all in recent days where part of it is performative, right? There's all this outrage and uproar around more inclusive and diverse sets, and then they come and then no one puts kind of their money where their mouth is, right? And is looking to support it. But is, you know, in the same vein looking to support other art, right? And so that's part of it. I think the economy in ways are part of it, but it's a weaker excuse when other things are still bought that don't center inclusive sets or inclusive folks. So there's that part of it. I think that there's, you know, for me, it feels like a disconnect because of my perspective, which my perspective is my shop. And inclusive sets in my shop do very well. And I think that part of that is because of who I am. So my brand aligns very much with who I am and what I value. And so it attracts folks that value the same, or at least appreciate that in, the things they want to consume. And so it makes sense that for my audience, I'm like, what do you mean? My audience eats this shit up. What do you mean it's not selling well? And so I think there is something to be said about your audience, right? Whether you're an artist or a shop owner, like, who is your target audience? Who do you attract? Because there is one. There is one. There's one for everybody. And so perhaps your target audience just doesn't give a fuck. Like, to tell you, like, that's also a possibility. And that's too bad. I think we're in the space or in the time and the moment in history that we're in because people don't care enough. People don't care enough about real artists, so they continue to consume AI bullshit. People don't care enough about marginalized communities, so they continue to be dehumanized and terrorized. And, oh well, Taylor Swift dropped an album, so who gives a shit? And it's not to say that you can't, if you care about one, you can't care about the other. I know that there are people who are listening to Taylor Swift's album who also care very much about what's happening. Like, I'm not saying that they're mutually exclusive. But sometimes the numbers say that they are. And I think some helpful insight that I got, was how about making themes that are popular and trying to build inclusivity into them. And there are definitely ways to do that with some themes, for sure. Like the first example that comes to mind is the Wicked kit, which is very popular. Thank God. Thank you all. That I just released in shop because it's really, Wicked focused, right? And a lot of folks from all walks of life are excited about Wicked for a variety of reasons. But I really wanted to celebrate Oz, right? And so I wanted to celebrate all of Oz, even the parts of Oz that are not talked about as much, which tend to be the Wiz. I mean, I feel like there are people that either don't know it exists or have never seen it who love The Wizard of Oz and love Wicked. And so I really wanted to make sure that that was included, and that's a way of bringing in a marginalized community into a very popularized topic, theme, right? Focus. So that's a way to do it where it makes sense and it's with a theme that's popular. But also, in the same vein, and it's a balance, y'all. I'm not trying to say that I have the answers to everything, because I do not. It's very much a balance, and sometimes it's not an easy one, especially given the times financially that we're living in. But there's also something to be said about the fact that I don't want to make a theme that I have deemed that, or I've decided or committed to making a theme that I want to be culturally relevant to a particular group of people, palatable for the dominant voice. That is not the point. That diminishes the point, as a matter of fact. And so it's a balance that you need to create, because if you're going to commit to a particular group of people, you need to commit fully. I don't want it half-assed to appease to dominant groups who have their voices heard all the time. Like, that's not what we're here to do. But there are ways to bring in, I think, inclusion for sure into themes that are more popular or more universally, wanted or loved or supported or bought, or whatever word you want to use. But also striking the balance of, if you're going to cater to a particular marginalized community, do it in a way that's unapologetic. Don't do it in a way that half-asses it and still tries to center whiteness, essentially, is what I'm saying. Or another dominant group. Insert whatever dominant group you'd like, right? So I feel like there's a balance with that, for sure, to be had. But I appreciated the insight, because I think that there is a ways to do both. And I think I've tried in the existence of the shop to find ways to do both. To have things that make people feel seen, and to have things that maybe are more universal to everyone from all walks of life, kind of regardless. And I think that that's where the answer is going to lie for a lot of people. There needs to be a balance. And I also think it gives you, like, sometimes I think that we're very narrow-minded in our definition of diverse art sets or diverse themes, like even outside of culture, which I tend to focus a lot on culture because it's one of the things I love most. And I feel like there's so much to pull from when you think about traditions and customs aligned with culture. But I also feel like this is going to feel abstract perhaps, but a lot of the kit themes and the kits that we get are just very like composed. They're very put together. They're very pristine. And I say that in like they're a very luxe feel. Like when it's a house, it's a stunning house, right? It's a kitchen. It's the most beautiful kitchen you've ever seen. And I'm not knocking that. Like obviously I buy these things. I love it. I think it's beautiful, right? But there's this very like polished feel to it, and that's not always reality, right? We're not always polished. Sometimes we're messy. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes it's hard. And so I think there's beauty in more grit, right? There's beauty in some of that struggle. And I've heard even from some of you that are like, I want to see, more kit themes around having a rough day or mental health or, some of those things that are not as pretty. Those are ways to be diverse. Like it seems like it's just a very narrow window that folks look through sometimes. And I'm like, there's other ways to align it. And not to say that there are not folks who are doing this, right? But just to give you another perspective, because we talk so much about, racially diverse, culturally diverse. But there's really so many ways. It's a broad term, right? It's a broad stroke. And so I think there's beauty in barrios, right? Which is like neighborhoods that you'd refer to in Spanish, basically. But I think there's a beauty in that realness, in that grit, in that street, right? Like, and those are things I'm trying to find ways to bring to life too, because again, it feels so polished all the time, and it's not realistic. Life isn't always that polished. Obviously, it's aesthetically pleasing. Of course, you want to have pretty things in your planner. Again, not knocking it. I use it. I've used tons of them. I love them too. But I think one of the most amazing things that I heard recently, of course, was from Lin-Manuel Miranda, where he was asked about Bad Bunny's residency in Puerto Rico. I think the interview he was doing was about something else, but they mentioned it. Obviously, he's Puerto Rican, and Bad Bunny has been just uplifting and spotlighting Puerto Rico in so many ways, right? And he was asked about the residency and the fact that there's a casita in there and the montañas and the campo feel of the residency. And one of the things he said was great artists put a picture frame around the everyday thing and say that's art too, that's beautiful too. And so I thought that was so impactful to me because it's something that I've been trying to articulate to folks. Like I recently worked on a set that I'm really excited for y'all to see. It might be a little bit though. I don't get too excited. Where I remember in the conversations with the artist about it, I was like, I want it to be grit. I want it to be real. I think there's beauty in that too. And so I think there's so many different ways, right? It's a really broad lens that I think sometimes we look through very narrowly. And I do want to say that I think there has been shifts in this, at least since when I first started. But it's a conversation that continues to happen because it always feels like the progress is too slow, I think, in many ways, which is how it always feels for marginalized communities. But I also think it's because these are the types of conversations you need to keep alive to keep people accountable, because it's real easy to forget about it, especially if you're not centered in the story, right? So their conversations we'll continue to have. We'll have them again in another year or two, hopefully. Hopefully, if we're all still doing this thing in a year or two, we'll have it again. And I think we should keep having it. I think it should always come up. And I think that's why it does, because it reminds us that there's still improvement, there's still progress, there's still work to be done, and people that want to feel seen. And I think that it's nice to bring that to the forefront. Or maybe important is a better word. I think it's important to continue to bring that to the forefront while we still enjoy the things that we've been enjoying in kids, right? So again, not saying you can't enjoy that stuff, just saying also maybe look to the left. Maybe look to the left every once in a while. So, all right, y'all. I hope I answered those questions. I feel like I talked about a lot of things, but I think they were all connected to the questions that I got asked. Thank you so much to Mel Planner Girl for asking them, as these are probably always going to be one of my favorite things to talk about, because it's so important. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support with the shop, with the channel. I'm so grateful. I just dropped off a big bulk of orders, and I'm hoping to get through the rest of them this week. So we all should have your sets soon, I hope. But yeah, love how this spread turned out. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more planning content. And I will see y'all in my next one.